Let's go.
Cool. So this is our seventh town hall now. So we're racking up the town halls. We're on the seventh one now, so that's great. So just for anybody that doesn't know what town hall is, it's sort of like a look back at the previous week, any sort of feedback or anything that we could improve on, and then sort of laying out the plans for the current week. So I'll jump straight into it. So in terms of updates from last week, we started like formalizing the create track, which is the sort of path for people to create their own projects within Algovera. So we started formalizing that and outlined all the key points, and we'll get to it in the plan. The hope is that like we can publish a written piece that outlines all that, all the processes for the community, so that it's clear what the create track is all about and how to go about proposing, and also how the voting mechanism works and how the funds will be distributed and so on. So hope to get that out this week. We had the final generative art hacking session last week, in which we sort of summarized and brainstormed everything that we did for the last couple of weeks, and ideas on where to take it after the hacking sessions, and how we can monetize the algorithm we've sort of published. Then also the DeFi hacking session happened. Do you want to give a brief outline of what happened in the DeFi hacking session? I think watching it briefly, it was sort of these guys gathered the main points, the scope of the project essentially. Is that sort of what happened in the DeFi hacking session?
Yeah, in the first one, we were converging on something to do, and then at the very end, we kind of diverged. And so we just kind of picked up where we left off and agreed on like the problem that we're going to solve and like what we need to get there. Like we started to lay out some steps in terms of what data we need and stuff like that. So yeah, hopefully we can start coding or something this week, or like looking at the data. It's probably going to take a while to figure out how to process the data and work with the data and stuff like that, like is the case with most data science problems, I suppose. But yeah, just looking forward to diving in and getting the hands dirty.
Super. We also had we have the investor, well, we have a showcase for Kernel this week. And so we've sort of focused on our pitch decks and gearing up to fundraise. And so we had a good bit of work to do in terms of investor pitch and also product demo. So we've been working hard at that, and we'll know on Friday how that goes. But in the meantime, I'm hoping to reach out to a few people to get feedback on the pitch deck and the product demo. So the Gitcoin Bounty was also posted last week. So I think what we sort of said is that we're going to give a couple of more days for people who are interested to express their interest and apply for the bounty, and then we'll just select the most suitable person for that bounty. And also to say that like we are planning to have more bounties in place as well over the coming weeks and months, so that contributors in the Algovera community can apply for and contribute to Algovera. So that's everything, all the main things from last week, kind of an update on. Anybody else want to mention anything or ask anything on updates? Cool.
Is Ocean DAO, is that in the plan future?
Well, it's like
it's
present, I suppose. It's like 10 more hours, 10 or 9 more hours, I think, till we know whether we got funding for this round. And so if we do get funding for this round, we can look into the more grants also for projects as well. So I suppose we're kind of relying on Ocean funding to come through to allow projects in the create track to so that we can start giving out these grants for people to process.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say our priorities will change if we get a negative result today, just in terms of like we'll probably chase funding with a bit more higher priority and stuff. But I think it will definitely put fundraising in a higher priority then. But yeah, we're hopefully on a positive note. We hope that the round is successful. But if not, we'll obviously
adapt and try and pull in funding from other sources.
We're at about like the same votes that we had last time. So we're like all yes, like 130,000 yes and 0 no. But like last time, 200,000 no came in with 90 seconds left. And so I'm just like, I'm fearing that the same thing's going to happen again if we haven't convinced this one person that we've worked well in the last month or so. And so I'm going to stay up till midnight anyway, until the last minute. So, and I actually like had a dream about it over the weekend. I had a dream I was waiting up for it, and then all of these no votes started coming in. I think it was like 1 million no votes or something like this. So it's starting to come into my dreams now. Not sustainable, let's say.
That is intense, Richard. You're dreaming about votes.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. We'll have to see how it goes. Then just talking about the plans, we can talk a little bit more detail about the plans, I suppose. So, so we had setting up the DAO for generative art as a goal for last week, and it was sort of pushed forward, I think, a little bit because of some of the challenges of setting up sort of being able to publish a data set or an algorithm to Ocean from a DAO. So you can set up the DAO and get one person to publish the data set, but it's still not the most efficient. I mean, it's a workaround, but ideally you wouldn't want to have that one person being a trusted, like single point of failure essentially. And so we're like looking at mechanisms how we can essentially allow the DAO itself to publish the algorithm or assets under its address. And so we've been sort of working on that, and I think it's a bit challenging, but we're hoping to get a workaround for that. And in regards to that point as well, one other thing that we need to do is I think we made a list of all the contributors to the project. We'll need to tag all of them in an announcement and just say that we'll be reaching out to get your public address so that we can add you to the DAO. Because you need the public address for them to be added to the DAO, and so we'll need to do that. So just reaching out to the people as well will be something that needs to be done this week. Any questions on that? Cool. So like I was saying, one of our goals for this week is to publish the guidance for the Create track itself. So I think it's good timing that we'll know today whether we get the funding, and so hopefully tomorrow or the day after we can publish the guidance for the Create track and how to propose. So we actually have the discourse set up as well. It's just not we haven't sort of published it online. We thought it might be good to just have the Create track guidance first and then point them to the discourse after. So there's a proposal section in discourse itself where you can post in your proposal, and we'll also have a template for the proposals as well. So yeah, those two things are: discourse is done, guidance is in work in progress. Anything on that? Cool. We're happy enough with that. Another thing is, so I had this down because we're increasingly seeing the trend of more people wanting to contribute to Algovera. And right now it's sort of being done in either reaching out to Richard or myself or Keaton to get involved. But I think I think as we grow, there's going to be more interest of people wanting to contribute. And so having a streamlined process of getting those people who are interested in contributing to express their interest would be a really good idea. So I'd love to get a process up and running for those people who wants to contribute but wants to express their interest in contributing, and there's like a standard process of that. And I think the sort of ethos that we're going for is that anybody who wants to contribute will find a way in which they can contribute to Algovera, because I think everybody has a sort of input in Algovera that they can help grow Algovera. So I think having a streamlined process where contributors can come in, and if they want to contribute, that there is a mechanism for them to set up a meeting with one of us or and sort of talk through how they can contribute would be a really useful thing for Algovera and for the people who want to contribute. And so I think it would be great to set that up. What do you guys think? Any ideas on how that could be done best?
Maybe maybe you can assign this as a bounty to people who want to work on it, because you have a lot of DAOs out there who manage it kind of efficiently through. I've seen a few DAOs work this out through ad tables, like where you segregate them according to their origin of interest and everything. But I'm not sure if that is as easy as possible to do by one person. Maybe you can allot a bounty just to come up with a really streamlined process that's useful for you guys. Discourse anyway guarantees community interaction at one end, but for setting up a process for the inbound people, I think there could be either you can take community interactions. If it's easier to do it by yourself, it's fine. Otherwise, you can put up a very short bounty on someone who's willing to come up with a good idea.
I think also that it could, at least in the short run, it could be like outsourced to like the active community members as well. Like they could also like promote more community interaction as well. Like the Discord members who are like under the active contributors could be the ones who reach out to the new members who want to contribute, and they start communicating between themselves. And then as new people are onboarded, they will become the people who onboard new community members as well. So that it's kind of the same process as what happens now, but to the wider community, and promotes like more community interaction so that it's like more active. And perhaps that's also a way how new squads can form as you just start chatting with new people and exchange ideas. But not sure if it's like the best approach.
I really like that approach in that, and like so another thing that we should try and concentrate out after we get a bit of structure in the community is like, one thing I think is really important is to get the connections between members of the community. So if you think of the community as a bunch of nodes, the nodes should have a good connection between each other. And so the community itself becomes a network, and so you want to try and encourage as much connections between these nodes as possible. And I think one of the things that we could possibly implement is sort of like a launch club kind of feature, where you essentially say, so we're opening up one-to-one meetings for the next week, and anybody who's interested and has the availability to meet someone new in the next week, they can sign up, and then we just match essentially the people within the community with each other. And so it's sort of forcibly getting people to meet one another, where I think a lot of the DAOs and a lot of the Discords, you go in and there's like an active effort to try and network and try and meet other people. But if we can reduce that as much as possible, and where like we do all the hard work of getting people to connect with each other, and all the people, like all the members have to do is essentially sign up for it and essentially connect with one another. I think that's going to be a really important thing. And if we can tie that in with getting people like sort of contributing as well, maybe like whenever someone new comes in, they get paired with one of the active contributors, and they work out how they can maybe it's a way of connecting with contributors, but also a way of trying to onboard them and try and get them a bit more involved in the community. And so I think I do like that approach, but also to what like to Prakash was saying, I think there's also room for like a more a formal process as well, where people can like look at what are all the possible ways of contributing that we've put out, and essentially can if it's a bounty that they're interested in, can join. So maybe it's a mixture of all these things, but I think figuring this out would be really useful, especially if you want a really active, engaging community. Those are my initial thoughts. Don't know what, Richard, do you think?
Yeah, I agree. And I also think like we don't do a good enough job at like showing off our active contributors as well. I think there's a way that we can do that better, for example, and also to publicize the pods that we're running at the moment. Like a lot of people probably don't know about all of the pods. I don't know if we have that up anywhere. And it doesn't mean that everyone has to be allowed into every pod, but just to see that these pods are going on, and maybe that would start you thinking about, okay, what pods could I suggest that are good? So I think we could do a better job at documenting that and kind of showing all of the activity that's going on with active contributors.
Yeah, I think sorry, Prash, you were going to jump in. I think pods are up on the Notion, but we haven't really published it to the community, and we haven't really explained to the community what it is. And so I think this is sort of where I think possibly Medium blog post or some sort of written piece that kind of introduces pods and what we're doing with pods, and that could be again like a way of also getting the word out about Algovera as well. And so I think doing more communication with the community will be a really important thing as we have more and more operations under Algovera. And so I think we should try and set some time apart for how can we communicate better with the community, because there's a growing number of things that are going on in Algovera now that not all things are communicated well to the community members. And maybe like I think it was one of the retweets you had, Richard, where they mentioned like different forms of communicating with the community. And so a summary or an update is something that we're missing, like similar to what a newsletter would be doing, essentially summing up all the new things that are coming out, all the current opportunities for people in the community, something along those lines that can essentially be communicated in a really effective way. What we're doing in here is kind of similar, but it's not accessible for a lot of people. You don't want to be watching an hour's worth of content, or maybe they don't have the availability to participate in the live synchronous version of this. And so maybe what we could do also is to summarize all the things that are going on and all the new things that are happening into a very small, concise information bucket. And maybe it's through email, but since Discord is there, maybe Discord. But I think possibly introducing a new channel of communication might be a good way of doing this as well.
I think a newsletter is a great idea, and I don't think it shouldn't be too much work. Even just that. What you put out for the town halls is perfect, but just like with 2 or 3 sentences under each one, that's all we need. That would be amazing.
Did you have? Were you going to jump in there, Parash? I think I had cut off something.
Yeah. I think the point you made about nodes interacting with each other kind of resonated something with me. I sent you both a couple of screenshots. This is something I observed with another DAO doing this as well. So they randomly pair 2 people to talk with each other. But that method is a bit more Brownian in nature, where it pairs with any random person who might not have a connection to talk with another. Maybe a contributor member pairing might work out, because at least one is more committed to communicate with each other. So that could be probably an approach you guys can think of to go with. Yeah, I think we'll need some iteration before we finalize an approach. How do you engage the community interactions? Because there are some really good, I see a lot of good communication happening in the introduction channels and general channel rather than most other channels. So we need to start kind of dispersing it a bit more.
There's also the we could possibly do like a hacking session on this as well, where we can develop some sort of language model where it looks at all the descriptions of the introductions and people in the community directory and matches them with people with similar interests. I think that'll be like a pretty cool project to do. And maybe we can also monetize it because there are probably other DAOs and organizations that are that have this database of people and their interests. Maybe they do have I think most DAO channels now have an introduction channel. And so if you can essentially scrape all the introductions and set up this service where you can analyze all the introductions and then pair them with people with similar words in them, or maybe recognizes hobbies or whatever. Maybe there's an opportunity to for it to be a hacking project, and also then monetize it then with whoever contributed to that project.
This is related. Do you remember you were working on the POAP problem, Hitesh? And I was saying you could have recommender systems for POAPs. Recommender systems are what Netflix uses. So even if someone hasn't watched a movie, do they think they'll like it and stuff? So like a recommender system for POAPs would be cool, but also like a little bit scary at the same time. I guess you would have to like rate your interactions with everyone in the community or something like that, which is a bit dystopian.
Yeah, just throwing things out there to get our creative juice flowing. But I think we should try and identify with different ways of how we can approach this. I do agree that just random pairing might not work really well. How we did it in sort of kernel is that you did have this directory, and then you looked at people that had similar interests, and then you messaged them. And I think there was a culture of like, hey, I'm willing to connect sort of cultures, and so that worked really well because you knew other people are also looking to connect with people. And so maybe like thinking about how we can also foster that culture of like we're open to meetings, or even signal ways of maybe in the directory as well, open to connect or something, because some people might not want to have inbound like connections or meet with people, and that's okay. But for those, like the majority of people that want to have new meet new people with similar interests and so on, I think there should be like a way of signaling, and maybe this is through the community directory and a signaling like, are you open to connection? If so, post in your Calendly link or something. Just making it like really frictionless to connect with people is, I think, like a key aspect. We can think on this and maybe have a conversation offline in the Discord or something on this. Maybe we can also create a thread on how we can like encourage more members to be contributors, and also increase connection between members. So maybe we can do that this week, and we'll set the thread for a week. And so hopefully by the end of the week, we'll have a solution to this and maybe some ideas on what to implement. And maybe some people in the contributors can actually like take up this and lead the project forward.
Be a pod, yeah.
Yeah, it could. Yeah, I think it's a pod worthy topic. And then I think I'll move on if nobody else has any comments or things to add to that. Cool. So DeFi hacking session. Is there any updates on what will happen this week? I think you're taking sort of a back seat on this hacking session compared to generative art. So I don't know if you have a good idea of what's expected for this one.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, I've been kind of sitting back a bit more, which is like I'm learning loads, and like I've never worked with blockchain data before, I suppose, and like that's what is interesting about this hacking session is that it's more of a range of different skill sets. So like our first hacking sessions was mostly data scientists, I suppose, and then for this one we have like domain experts in the financial space. We have like people who know a lot about DeFi, and also data scientists. And so the first part of the problem is trying to like figure out about the data. And so I guess sometimes that's more like it's more easy for the domain expert to know more about the data. And so you're kind of reliant on them to bring it a certain part of the way, and then you can pick up that data at a certain point and like turn it into models and insights and stuff like that. And so I think once we get to the stage where the data is processed a bit more, that's when I can, give more insights on different types of models and stuff like that. But I'm also looking forward to diving in and like working on some of the blockchain data, using like Dune analytics and just learning more about that, I suppose. So yeah, hopefully we can start hacking on that data, or like viewing some stuff today or something. It'd be really cool. Or tomorrow.
Cool.
Wednesday.
Cool. Then another thing that, again, we had this here on last week's goals, was again pushed forward by some of the work on the investor pitch and so on. So we wanted to update the website on advertise an engineering position for Algovera as well. So as we start like looking at fundraising, we'll be looking at like hiring people to the core team more and more. And so some of the first few positions will be things like engineering positions, then maybe designer, and also community manager. And so I think it's a good way of like getting the word out about Algovera and what we're doing by advertising these positions, and hopefully soon enough that we'll be able to hire for one of these positions as well. So have to be I have to do that this week as well.
How much effort is the blog side as well? Just because we're starting to put out more material, I suppose. So it would be nice to have that on.
If it's a blog section with a link to a Medium post, it's not a huge effort. But if it's actually like a content management system like Ghost, like that's built on Ghost or something, it's going to be a bit more work, especially since the actual website is built using Webflow. I don't know how well Ghost integrates with Webflow. I haven't looked into that. But if it's pointing to a Medium post, I think it's very easy to do.
Yeah, I guess I just wanted to get away from Medium. It is the main.
Yeah.
So that's stuff.
Good thing about Medium is it's a discovery platform, and so if you do post in it, like they try and do the discovery for you. Whereas maybe like thing with if you post it like natively on your website, it's great for SEOs, but it's not great for discoverability, because unless people like come to Algovera, they won't be able to see the post, or unless you share on like social media. But I think Medium do some level of discovery, but I don't know if it's actually like significant.
If you become popular, then they probably put you behind a paywall though. So
yeah,
like who subscribes to Medium?
True. And we were sort of chatting about like getting a few blogs on the Mirror. I think it's like it's a more Web3 focused publisher. I don't know an awful lot about it, so I don't know if it's easy as sort of writing something and getting it posted. I don't know if anybody on the call is familiar with Mirror.xyz and how they work.
They have like a voting system, I think.
Is it okay?
It's like once a month they like let new people in or something, and you have to get a certain amount of votes from the existing community members to be allowed in. So it seems pretty difficult.
I see.
I think they haven't had I think they're doing it via like competition, but I think they haven't had it for quite a long time now. So I'm not sure whether there's a way to get in, because you need like one Mirror token to be able to publish, and I think you only get that by getting a certain number of votes in the writing competition. But maybe that's just one part of it. I'm not sure.
I had heard they were opening it up to everyone as well, but when I wrote the first Medium post for one of the Ocean deliverables, I couldn't find a way to do it without going through the competition. So maybe they're just implementing this or something. It might be worth waiting.
Yeah, let's keep an eye out for it anyway. I think there's a lot of people, Web3 people on that platform, so it'd be good to get in there. Last thing on the agenda itself is like the Kernel Showcase I was mentioning. So Friday this week is where we get to showcase essentially a 3-minute pitch of Algovera. There will be I think over 30 investors that's going to be present there, and hopefully we'll also get feedback and people who are interested coming to the community and giving their thoughts. And so we've sort of been prepping for that for like the last week. So I think it would be good to get feedback from some investors and also people who are interested in the project. So we have that on Friday, so we can give you an update on how that went next week. So
the pitch deck looks amazing. Hitesh did a great job on the pitch deck and also on the video to show what the product. It's great. Yeah, I love the Algovera section as well. The way you did like interview with Jeffrey Hinton as well.
Yeah, throw that in there.
But yeah, I guess like on our website we'll have the different products along the top tab, and so like you can click on Algoverse, and then that's all of the community stuff, whether it's community discussions and like the virtual campus and all of these different ideas, and then what's the other one? The squads. So you can like spin up a squad really quickly, get into Jupyter notebooks, and then the marketplace as well, where you can look at like the different algorithms, apps, data sets, all that sort of stuff. So it's just, it's so good to see like what the final product might look like starting to take shape. It's really exciting.
Yeah, I think we'll be doing like we'll be essentially growing much faster as we have a bit more like leverage in terms of funding and what we could do. Because we're essentially doing all this with scarce resources right now, and when we have the ability to put our foot down the pedal and accelerate, I think we'll be seeing a lot more like things materialize a lot quicker. So yeah, excited for the journey. Yeah, I think that's.
Yeah, I was like very impressed with the amount of thinking that's gone into this. So I think, yeah, all the very best for Friday, and
Thanks, Emil.
Thank you very
I
much.
mean, like, yeah, I mean, I think there isn't, I think the work that we put into this is like pretty insane in terms of like the amount of hours we've sort of put into this. Like literally, like there's no weekends or anymore for us. Well, for me anyway, like it's been just full 24/7. This is my life now, and so I think like if you do it long enough, I think it will pay off. And some of these things are just about to happen. So thanks for the kind words. I think we'll need like support from everyone throughout this journey. So I think it's great to have like those kind words.
Yeah, I'm actually busier than when I was working in Huawei. Like I thought as soon as I quit, I'd be like, I'll have so much extra time on my hands, but actually it's like eating lunch in 10 minutes and like just, yeah, all the planning and coordinating and stuff is just, it's a lot at the moment. So it'll be great if we can, get some more funds and like hire people to take the workload off us a bit, I suppose.
Cool. That's a wrap for this week then, if anybody else doesn't have any more questions or comments.
Yeah. Good luck to you guys. Looking forward to your feedback after the Friday as well. Okay.
Great.
And,
thanks, Prakash.
And so this is part of my outreach that I've been doing from Indian community, right? So I've been trying out bounty requests. I haven't perfected an opportunity yet. Maybe you guys can give a feedback. Maybe you can actually, nobody has given a review for this yet. Maybe you can just check it out and give, just in case nobody else is applying for this bounty, you guys can try it out just before the voting ends. I mean, yeah. So even if nobody else takes, I'll be happy if some of you guys can take up this bounty challenge.
In the bounty.
I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and Prakash, I was going to say, I should have said this for the updates from the previous week, but Prakash, he put in a submission in a hackathon.
Yeah.
Bidless hackathon or something.
Yes. Actually, the deadline got pushed a bit. It got extended till by 3 days. So I think I'll post that on the group as well. So maybe you guys can give us some feedback on how I can improve it. So mostly it was all about me troubling Richard on what can we do for it. Since we have some time, maybe Hitesh can also give some updates on how can we improve the submission. So yeah.
I think it's basically like just what we've been doing in the Generative Art Hackathon. So the idea was come up with a new interesting generative model. And so I think we've done something pretty interesting, which is like tokenize the generative models and put access to it on chain. And so I guess like there's a chance that we could win something, I suppose. I think the top prize was like $3,000 or $5,000, cash, was it?
Yes. For generative arts category, I think the first is 5 and then 3K. Yeah. So
okay, cool. Yeah.
Hopefully we can win that and give it back to the community as well. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah, I think I have the site address. It's still a work in progress. You can have a look at it. Yeah, this is the front end side with none of the smart contracts elements. It's just a very vague front end. So I'm still looking forward to work on this in the next 2 days and tweak the submission. Yeah.
Thanks for driving it anyway. It's great to get submissions into hackathons like this. So thank you.
Yeah, I hadn't come across it, so I'll check it out and let you know my feedback, Prakash. Thanks. Cool. Okay, we'll wrap it up there, Richard, then.
Yeah, great.